For decades, the history of the Maya followed a single path. Civilization was said to have begun in the southern jungles of Guatemala before a massive societal breakdown drove survivors north as refugees. In this version of history, the Yucatan was simply a late-stage destination for a people in retreat. 10 years ago, excavations at a site called Kiwi began to complicate that story. Archaeologists found an 800 AD pyramid shrine, 20,000 rocks stacked 30 feet high. Its construction matched the era when southern refugees were thought to have arrived, appearing to confirm the traditional timeline. But inside the structure, they found a vault stone, a specific angled block used for ceilings, not pyramids. It was buried deep in the rubble. Digging further, they uncovered the foundation of a palace dating to 500 AD, 3 centuries older than the pyramid itself. 17 miles away, evidence from 230 feet underground pushed that date back even further. In a pitch-black cave, archaeologists found ritual offerings of ceramic vessels and murals of ghost-like jaguars. Analysis of the painting style and the pottery placed these offerings at 100 BC, a period at the very beginning of Maya history. These dates proved the northern cities were not founded by refugees fleeing a collapse in the southern jungles. They suggest the Yucatan was a primary cradle of Maya society, flourishing on its own for nearly a millennium before the migration ever began. Modern technology has allowed us to see the true scale of this northern society. Using LiDAR, or light detection and ranging, aircraft fire billions of laser pulses through the jungle. By timing how long it takes the light to bounce back from the ground, we can see the shapes of cities hidden beneath the leaves. This data has mapped over 800 square miles of the Maya Biosphere Reserve, revealing thousands of ruins. We are seeing a sprawling network of roads, temples, and palaces that suggest the northern Maya were part of a society just as complex and populous as those in the south. At one estate, researchers found a 9-room mansion overlooking the valley. Excavations underneath the floors revealed stone houses for workers and chemical traces of a diet rich in squash, beans, and chili peppers. This points to a prosperous middle class of plantation owners who controlled the fertile land below. However, living in the Yucatan required solving a fundamental environmental problem. While the soil was fertile, the region had no rivers, lakes, or springs. Rain fell heavily for 6 months of the year, but for the other 6, the land was virtually waterless. The Maya engineered their hilltop estates to function as giant rain barrels. They carved cisterns called choltens into the limestone and lined them with pinkish, waterproof stucco. Every plaza and rooftop was angled to funnel rainwater into these chambers, which could hold up to 10,000 gallons each, enough to sustain multiple families through a 3-month drought. This infrastructure allowed a massive population to thrive in an environment that naturally lacked the water to support it. The northern Maya didn't just inhabit the land, they completely re-engineered its hydrology to build a wealthy agricultural powerhouse. By 800 AD, the kings of the north were reaching their peak, commissioning new, multi-story palaces to display their wealth. But the archaeological record shows that in the middle of this construction boom, the entire society came to a sudden halt. At the Kiwi Palace, archaeologists found unusual clues: second-story walls left on the ground, stone blocks left in mid-preparation, and scaffolding never taken down. These sites look less like ruins and more like active construction zones where the workers simply never returned to finish their shifts. Inside the hilltop homes, the evidence of departure was remarkably tidy. Ceramic vessels weren't abandoned in a panic or smashed, they were grouped along the edges of rooms or hung carefully from wall pegs. This level of care suggests the residents were securing their property for the duration of a trip, expecting to find everything exactly as they left it. These clues describe a planned and orderly evacuation. The population tacked their essentials and walked away from their cities, leaving their heavy valuables staged for a return that would never happen. To understand why they left a perfectly functioning metropolis, we have to look at the limits of their technology. Core samples reveal a series of extreme droughts hit the Yucatan starting in the 9th century. These recurring dry spells lasted between 3 and 20 years, overwhelming the Cholten system. Once the cisterns ran dry, life on the hilltop estates became physically impossible. The elite families would have had only one choice: abandon their homes and move toward areas with more reliable water. But the Maya were a civilization designed to survive droughts. They had lived through dry cycles for centuries, always returning to their cities once the rains resumed. This time, however, something in their social fabric had changed, preventing that recovery. During this period of environmental stress, a new political ideology centered on the feathered serpent swept through the north. Kings competed for power by submitting to painful rituals of self-mortification and bloodletting. The city of Uxmal became a capital for this movement, with buildings modified to feature these massive carved serpent facades. This new ideology sparked intense rivalries between those who joined the cult and those who held to traditional Maya beliefs. The political landscape became polarized and unstable. By the time the rains finally returned, the government was too fractured to organize the labor and resources to reclaim and repair the abandoned cities. The collapse was the result of a systems failure. The environmental shock of a multi-decade drought collided with a broken political system, destroying the society's ability to coordinate a response. For over 1,000 years, the empty cities of the north were reclaimed by the forest. The roads, mansions, and cisterns that once supported thousands were buried under the canopy, visible only to the lasers of the 21st century. The fate of the northern Maya serves as a study in fragility. It shows that even a wealthy, highly engineered mega-society can fail when its environmental security is overwhelmed by the dysfunction of its leaders.